Spanish Comanche Frontier 3 Decisive Battles. Welcome to Native Legends and History Stories. Join us to explore the untold stories of America's past. Blood drips from Father Torero's severed head onto the sacred altar of San Saba Mission. His eyes gouged out, his scalp torn away, his vestments stripped from his lifeless body. This was no ordinary raid. This was the day 2,000 Comanche warriors brought hell to the Spanish frontier. The mission bell tolls for morning mass on March 16, 1758. Priests move through their morning rituals inside the stone fortress. Chalices gleam in candlelight. Incense smoke curls toward wooden beams. The walls rise high against the plains, mortared with Spanish pride and determination. Guard towers punctuate each corner, built to spot raiders long before they reach the gates. But on this morning the watchman's eyes fail them. The first war cry splits the air. Through the morning mist emerged the Comanche faces, painted black and red for war. French muskets gleaming in the early light. Warriors notch arrows to bowstrings made from twisted buffalo sinew. Others level their guns, powder carefully measured. The rest brandish war clubs and lances, metal tips catching the sun's first rays. Father Fray Miguel de Molina's sandals echo through mission corridors as he runs to sound the alarm. His heart pounds against his ribs. In the chapel, Father Martinez continues mass, golden chalice raised high. The thunder of hooves drowns his prayers. The massive oak gates reinforced with iron bands splinter under synchronized battering. Warriors pour through the breach like a river of death. Their horses' hooves wrapped in deerskin muffle any sound. Each rider moves as one with his mount, ducking and weaving through gunfire. Spanish defenders scramble to their posts, metal scribs on stone as they draw swords. Pike heads glint in the morning light. Few have time to take up arms before the attackers surge through. The Comanche fighters move with lethal precision, born from years of mounted warfare. Every shot finds its mark. Through gun smoke arrows rain in coordinated volleys, whizzing through gaps in the mission's defense. In desperation the priests attempt peace. Molina himself approaches the chiefs for ceremonial tobacco bundles clutched in trembling hands. The warriors respond with cold laughter. Their horses paw the ground, muscles tense. The chiefs' painted faces show no mercy. Flames erupt along the mission walls. Fire arrows arc over the battlements, igniting thatch and timber. Black smoke chokes the air. Through the chaos, Molina glimpses his fellow priests cut down one by one. Sacred silver vessels shatter on the chapel floor. Storage rooms, built to sustain the mission through winter. Our stripped bare warriors ride through the corridors, whooping battle cries that echo off stone walls. Their arrows find priests hiding in confession booths. Musket balls tear through wooden doors. The mission that took years of back-breaking labor to build burns to ash in mere hours. The stench of burning flesh mingles with incense. Blood soaks into the chapel's dirt floor. Father Torero's headless corpse sprawls across the altar, final testament to Spanish ambition in Comanche lands. Only Molina escapes to bear witness, his testimony forever marking the day San Saba Mission fell. Behind him black smoke rises like a funeral pyre. Against the Texas sky, the Comanche warriors melt away into the plains, leaving only death and ashes to mark their victory. The Spanish frontier would never be the same. Vengeance drove Colonel Diego Ortiz Paria into Comanche territory in the summer of 1759. Blood still stained the chapel stones at San Saba when he mustered his army. 600 men strong Spanish cavalry in gleaming breastplates rode alongside leather-clad militiamen. Mission Indians in cotton garments marched with Apache warriors, their faces painted for war. Each soldier carried 3 weeks' worth of dried meat and corn in their saddlebags. The expedition wound through the frontier like an iron serpent. Supply wagons creaked under the weight of gunpowder, kegs and cannon shot. Scouts rode ahead on swift mustangs, watching for war parties at night. Sentries stood guard as wolves howled in the distance. By late summer, they reached the charred remains of San Saba Mission. Blackened stones jutted from the earth like broken teeth. Scorched crucifixes lay half buried in the dirt. The stench of death still lingered. Under a crumbling arch, Ortiz gathered his officers. Their boots crunched on shattered roof tiles as they swore oaths of retribution. Scout parties returned with news that set Ortiz's blood racing. Atavia village sprawled near the Red River's banks, its oval lodges protected by thick wooden walls. Smoke from cooking fires rose above the stockade. Warriors patrolled the ramparts, French muskets glinting on their shoulders. Ortiz pressed his army forward through rolling grasslands. Each dawn brought them closer to their quarry. The soldiers' excitement grew with every mile. But the Comanche had been watching, waiting, plotting their counterstroke with tactical precision. As the Spanish column approached the Red River, disaster struck. The lead elements hit what seemed to be solid ground. But the sandbank was a trap. Horses plunged leg-deep into treacherous sand. Riders pitched forward in their saddles. Wagon wheels sank to their axles. Our mounts thrashed helplessly. Neither advancing nor retreating possible, wrote a Spanish cavalry officer in his blood-stained journal. Warriors materialized from the tree line like vengeful spirits. Musket fire erupted from three sides. Lead balls punched through Spanish armor. At point-blank range, horses screamed. Men died clutching wounds that spurted crimson. The air filled with powder, smoke, and the thunder of guns. Ortega bellowed orders through the chaos. Gunners wrestled their cannon into position, wheels scraping on rocks. The guns spoke with earth-shaking roars. 11 shots slammed into the village stockade, but when the smoke cleared, the walls still stood. Warriors atop the ramparts jeered and beat their shields with war clubs. Then came the devastating counterattack. Comanche cavalry burst from hidden positions, hundreds of mounted warriors moving as one. They bent low over their horses' necks, presenting impossible targets. Their own muskets blazed, arrows blackened the sky. Each volley found gaps in the Spanish formation. The Comanche riders demonstrated their mastery of mounted combat. They fired accurately at full gallop, reloading with practiced ease. Some hung from their horses' sides, using the animals as shields. Others rode knee to knee in coordinated groups, each protecting the other's flanks. Their horses, trained for war, never shied from the gunfire. Spanish discipline crumbled. Militiamen broke ranks and fled. Mission Indians melted away into the brush. Even some of Ortiz's regular troops threw down their weapons and ran. The proud army that had marched north seeking vengeance now fought desperately for survival. As darkness fell, Ortiz made the bitter choice. He ordered a retreat, abandoning precious cannons and supply wagons. In the mud, his remaining men limped south, their dreams of glory shattered behind them. Victory songs echoed from the Tavia village. The battle at Red River marked more than a military defeat. It showed that the Comanche, armed with French weapons and hardened by generations of warfare, could match and overcome Spanish military might. The balance of power on the frontier had shifted. Ortiz's failed campaign became a symbol of Spanish decline, while Comanche dominance over the plains only grew stronger. Colonel Diego Ortiz Barria stood at his command post in Presidio, San Luis de las Maria, hands trembling as he read the patrol reports. Each paper detailed fresh horrors. From the San Saba ruins, the mission's stone walls, once pristine white, now stood blackened with soot. Blood had soaked deep into the chapel's wooden floors. Every building bore witness to the Comanche's calculated savagery. Patrol riders discovered bodies sprawled across the mission grounds. Priests lay where they fell, their robes torn away, bodies mutilated beyond recognition. Empty eye sockets stared at the Texas sky. Spanish weapons, muskets, swords, powder, horns had vanished from the armory. The granaries stood empty, winter stores carried away on Comanche horses. In the mission's paddocks, vultures feasted on slaughtered livestock. Cattle carcasses rotted in the sun. Horse corrals gaped empty, their gates splintered. Even the mission's prized breeding stallions were gone, either stolen or killed. The survivors, who staggered south to the Presidio, arrived with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Molina's written account reached Ortiz's desk, ink still fresh. Not a single corn kernel remains in our storehouses. The priest wrote, no tools to work the fields, no horses to pull our plows. The Comanche stripped away not just lives, but any hope of rebuilding. Smoke from the burning mission rose in thick columns, visible from Spanish settlements 20 miles distant. The message was clear: no Spanish outpost was safe. Fear spread through frontier communities like wildfire. Farmers abandoned outlying fields. Ranchers drove their herds closer to fortified towns. Every wisp of dust on the horizon triggered panic. The ripples of destruction spread beyond Spanish settlements. Apache scouts, longtime Spanish allies, reported growing unrest among their people. The sight of Comanche warriors wielding French muskets, moving with military precision, shook their confidence in Spanish protection. Other tribes watched and waited, weighing whether to abandon their Spanish alliances. Ortiz's quill scratched desperately across parchment as he wrote to neighboring commanders. The savages show unprecedented coordination. He reported, their French weapons match our own. Their raids grow bolder by the day. Without immediate reinforcement, the entire frontier may be lost. The letters rode out with his fastest couriers, racing against time. Weeks stretched into months. The Spanish crown's response arrived with summer's heat. Immediate action was required. But the order brought no additional troops, no fresh supplies. Ortiz would make do with what he had. By late summer 1759, he had assembled his army. Spanish regular soldiers marched alongside frontier militiamen, their uniforms a mix of regulation blue and homespun cotton. Mission Indians, who had accepted Christianity, fought beside paint-streaked Apache warriors. Old tribal rivalries simmered beneath the surface. Trust was as scarce as water in the Texas summer. The column moved north through grasslands yellowed by August sun. Scout parties ranged ahead, searching for Comanche signs. Tension grew with each passing day. Men jumped at shadows. Arguments broke out over minor issues. The weight of vengeance pressed down, heavier than their packs at the Brazos River. The expedition's fragile discipline shattered. Scout reports mentioned Indian movement ahead. Exhausted by weeks of fruitless searching, Ortiz's men spotted smoke from a village, and without waiting for confirmation, they attacked. Their victims were Tonkawa, peaceful traders who had no part in the Santa Barbara raid. The Spanish assault left 55 dead, including women gathering roots and children playing by the river. Warriors tried to defend their families, but fell before Spanish guns. The soldiers dragged away 149 captives in chains. Ortiz recorded the attack as a victory in his reports. His men celebrated with captured food and drink, but the hollow triumph turned to ashes in their mouths. Every soldier knew they had struck the wrong target. The real enemy still roamed free. The true test awaited at the Red River. There the Spanish column finally found their quarry, a Tauvaia village bristling with defenses. Oval lodges clustered behind thick wooden walls. Warriors in war paint manned the ramparts, French muskets ready above the stockade. French flags snapped in the wind, mocking Spanish authority. Ortega surveyed the fortress through his spyglass, pride warring with apprehension. His men had marched hundreds of miles seeking vengeance. Now it stood before them strong as a Spanish presidio, defended by warriors who had already proved their lethal skill. As he lowered the glass, Ortiz knew the real battle was about to begin. The trap sprang shut at the Red River crossing. Ortiz's lead cavalry hit the sandbank at full gallop. Horses screamed as their legs plunged deep into treacherous ground. Riders pitched forward, armor clanging against saddle pommels. The main column crashed into the rear of the stalled vanguard. Supply wagons jackknifed, their wheels spinning uselessly in shifting sand. Musket fire erupted from the tree line. Lead balls punched through Spanish breastplates at point-blank range. Warriors concealed in the woods worked their weapons with mechanical precision. Each volley found its mark among the trapped Spanish forces. Ortiz's written account captured his desperation. Enemy fire came from all quarters. Their muskets spoke with one voice, drowning out my commands, our own weapons. Few and precious could not match their fury. He ordered his artillery forward, wheels grinding against rock and sand. The cannon crews worked feverishly, ramming home powder charges. 11 thunderous shots shook the river valley. Gun smoke drifted thick across the water, but when it cleared, the stockade still stood. Warriors atop the walls beat their shields and shouted taunts, their laughter more devastating than any weapon. Comanche cavalry burst from hidden positions, their horses' hooves wrapped in deerskin for silence. Warriors demonstrated their mastery of mounted combat, hanging sideways off their horses to dodge Spanish bullets. Others fired muskets with deadly accuracy while galloping at full speed, skills honed through years of buffalo hunting. Spanish discipline crumbled under the onslaught. Soldiers threw down their weapons and fled. Apache allies melted into the brush without a sound mission. Indians caught between two worlds vanished into the chaos as night fell. Ortiz made the bitter choice to abandon his cannons and wagons. His shattered force retreated south, leaving their dreams of glory buried in Red River sand. 20 years passed before the Spanish crown found a commander capable of challenging Comanche dominance. Juan Bautista de Anza, newly appointed governor of New Mexico, brought fresh tactics and determination to the frontier. His target, the legendary war chief Cuerno Verde, whose raids had bled Spanish settlements white. De Anza assembled 600 men, veteran soldiers in polished breastplates, frontier militia in buckskin, Apache and Ute warriors with faces painted for war. He drilled them relentlessly, teaching them to fight as one unit. Under cover of darkness, they moved through mountain passes and dry arroyos, masking their approach with careful discipline. Scout parties tracked Comanche movement through the Greenhorn Mountains. They marked campsites, counted horse herds, noted the direction of cooking smoke. On September 3rd, they brought word. Cuerno Verde's band lay camped in a valley below, unaware of the noose tightening around them. De Anza divided his force into 3 columns, each taking position to cut off escape routes. The morning sun glinted off Spanish gun barrels as they closed the trap in the Comanche camp. Warriors lounged by cooking fires, their horses grazing nearby. Battle flags fluttered above Cuerno Verde's lodge. The war chief's reaction showed his legendary arrogance. Rather than retreat into the mountains, he called his warriors to attack. They mounted up with practiced speed, falling into formation behind their leader. Cuerno Verde sat high in his saddle, green feathered headdress streaming behind him. His horse's bridle jingled with silver ornaments. As he led the charge, Spanish muskets spoke first. Coordinated volleys tore into the Comanche ranks. Warriors fell from their horses. Others wavered in their charge. But Cuerno Verde pressed forward, firing his own musket with deadly aim. His personal guard followed, loosing arrows that found gaps in Spanish armor. De Anza's disciplined troops held their ground. Each time the Comanche regrouped for another charge, they met waves of concentrated fire. The Spanish columns pressed inward, their 3-pronged attack leaving no room for cavalry maneuvers. Cuerno Verde's warriors, used to fighting on open plains, found themselves trapped in shrinking space. The war chief's elite guard died defending him. Cut down one by Spanish bullets, his son fell next, then his trusted advisors. Cornelio Verde, himself refusing to yield even at the end, spurred his horse towards Spanish lines. His green feathers made a final, right target against the mountain sky, before multiple shots struck him from his saddle. De Anza watched as the final moments of battle unfolded beneath the mountain peaks. The Comanche warriors fought until their last breath, their battle cries carrying across the valley. Cuerno Verde's green feathers lay scattered across blood-stained grass, a final testament to his defiance. His death marked more than a Spanish victory. It ushered in a new chapter in the struggle for the frontier. Peace talks began in the winter months that followed. Spanish diplomats met with Comanche leaders under white flags of truce. The negotiations lasted through changing seasons, as both sides sought terms they could accept. The Spanish frontier would know relative calm in the years ahead, though raids and counter-raids never fully ceased. The Comanche nation remained a formidable power on the plains. Their warriors still rode with deadly skill. Their hunters still tracked buffalo across vast territories. The memory of Cuerno Verde lived on in stories told around night fires, inspiring new generations of warriors. His final charge against overwhelming odds became legend among his people. The Spanish crown celebrated De Anza's victory, but wise commanders knew better than to mistake one battle for absolute triumph. The frontier remained a land of shifting alliances and sudden violence, where today's victory could become tomorrow's defeat. Both peoples had learned costly lessons.